Manchester United is a massive club, that's just a fact. Yes, by their own high standards, it's not been great lately. They are the current FA Cup champions and they won the League Cup in the previous season, but the Red Devils haven't won the Premier League in 11 years. Many young footballers, especially those from countries with comparatively weak domestic leagues, grow up dreaming of playing for a foreign club. Often, that club is Real Madrid or Barcelona, but plenty of young ballers still dream of playing for Manchester United. Not all dreams are happy, though. We're taking a look at 5 ballers who earned a life-changing move to Old Trafford, but quickly ended up in footballing purgatory. Donny van de Beek. The young Dutchman was an integral part of Ajax's generational team that performed so brilliantly in the Champions League under Erik ten Hag. Inevitably, Ajax's squad was scavenged and picked apart by wealthy clubs, and Frenkie de Jong's midfield partner eventually found himself signing for the mighty Manchester United. It did not go well. In his first season in England, Van der Beek played 19 league games, only half of the available matches, and that's as good as it got for him in the Prem. Loans at Everton and Eintracht Frankfurt followed, where he played even less regularly than did for Man United. Donny van de Beek has now finally secured a way out of Manchester, signing permanently for La Liga upstarts and Manchester City-affiliated Girona. Wilfried Zaha. At 20 years old, Wilf Zaha was one of the brightest talents in the Premier League. An exciting player to watch, with pace, power, end product, and sleeves full of tricks. Alex Ferguson himself spoke with the young winger in order to persuade him to pledge his allegiance to Man United. Zaha is a Croydon boy, so we're not going to pretend he grew up dreaming of playing in Devil Red, but a massive transfer like that for a 20-year-old young baller is a dream regardless of your background, unless you're a Liverpool or a City fan. By the time Zaha got to Manchester, Fergie was gone, and David Moyes did not fancy him at all. Rumours abound as to the nature of the apparent fallout between the two, but whatever happened, Wilf left Man United after only 3 competitive games, and never looked back. Memphis Depay. After very much bursting onto the scene at PSV Eindhoven, Depay had clubs across Europe talking. He was a wanted man, with both PSG and Liverpool sniffing him out. According to reports, then Man United manager Louis van Gaal thought he probably needed another season in the Netherlands to develop, but the interest from other clubs forced him to snap his compatriot up in 2015. Depay played regularly in his first season, all across the front line, but he struggled for end product. The following season saw the Dutchman make just 4 appearances, all as a substitute, and he was subsequently sold to Lyon in the January transfer window. Happily, Depay did manage to turn his career around and get back on track, eventually earning moves to Barcelona and Atletico Madrid, and leading the line for his country at Euro 2024. Mark Bosnich. The only player Alex Ferguson signed twice. Which is weird, because the Scot referred to Bosnich as a terrible professional in his autobiography. Bosnich joined Man United's youth setup from his native Australia, and made a handful of top-division appearances in the 1990-91 season. The Aussie then went back to Sydney for a year, and then spent 7 seasons at Aston Villa before Fergie brought him back on a free transfer to replace Peter Schmeichel. Ginormous gloves to fill. It lasted for about 2/3 of a season. Bosnich spent a night in jail and spent a year or so looking a little bit like Brendan Fraser before Fabian Barthez arrived and effectively ended Bosnich's Man United career. Gabriel Obertan. Gabriel Obertan was signed as Cristiano Ronaldo's replacement. Yeah. Think about that. Obertan himself thought it was a joke. Bordeaux manager Laurent Blanc was perplexed, and so, in time, were the Manchester United fans. He must overcome psychological and mental challenges so he can express his true value, is what Blanc had to say on the transfer. Whatever those challenges were, it doesn't feel like Obertan managed to beat them. He was very quick, Obertan, to be fair, but pace is about all he managed to show during his time in England. After joining Alan Pardew's French Revolution at Newcastle United, the winger went on a magical mystery tour of Eastern Europe before rocking up in North Carolina, where he's still playing for Charlotte Independence. Man United winger Jadon Sancho will leave Old Trafford this summer, while Anthony and Marcus Rashford need to improve their bad attitude, according to former Tottenham midfielder Jamie O'Hara. Sancho came off the bench in the Red Devils' first 3 matches of the Premier League season before Erik ten Hag left him out of the Man United squad altogether for their 3-1 loss to Arsenal last September. Ten Hag revealed in a post-match press conference that he omitted Sancho from the squad because of his poor performances in training, something which Sancho denied. The Man United winger took to social media to claim he had been made out as the scapegoat for their early season form before later deleting his post. However, Sancho refused to apologize to Ten Hag and was made to train away from the first team before being sent out on loan in January to former club Borussia Dortmund. Ten Hag seems to have forgiven Sancho in recent weeks, with the Man United boss pleased to draw a line under the saga and move on. The Dutchman said earlier this month, "As we said, we draw the line. Manchester United need good players and Jadon is a good player. We have drawn that line and we move on." But O'Hara still thinks Man United will sell Sancho and that his signing has been an absolute disaster for the club with the potential to absolutely ruin a club. "I think Jadon Sancho will leave Manchester United. I can't see that situation being resolved between him and Erik ten Hag. They don't have any respect for each other anymore," O'Hara told Grosvenor Sport. "The amount of money they spent on him, it's been an absolute disaster for them. The way it goes now with financial regulations, if you spend the amount of money they did on Sancho, it simply has to work. That type of money wasted on one transfer can absolutely ruin a club, and United cannot afford to make those mistakes again." O'Hara also picked out Antony and Marcus Rashford as players who must improve their bad attitude, with the ex-Tottenham midfielder insisting they should sell the former. He added, "There are still players at United who don't respect Ten Hag and don't want to put effort in. You can bring in who you want, but you've still got Marcus Rashford, Jadon Sancho, Antony. I think these players all have a bad attitude towards helping the team. United ought to sell Sancho and Antony, but I don't think Rashford should go. They have to find a way of getting the best out of him. He's got star quality, but he has to run around more and show a better attitude. He was nowhere near good enough last year, and it cost him his place at the Euros, which I don't think he expected. Hopefully that gave him a wake-up call." On their prospects for the upcoming season, O'Hara said of Man United, "United must get top for this season. They got away with it this year by winning the FA Cup. They were dreadful in the Premier League. I think this is an attitude and mentality problem. These players need to remember they are playing for Man United, one of the biggest clubs in the world. You have to be amongst it every season, and their league form was so far off, and they must put it right."